Now it's time to talk about safety in public places, whether it's a worship center, whether it's the marketplaces, or generally a central business district. And this segment always comes in handy for you. I remember learning about the pepper spray. And so Mr. Ademola Adetuberu, our security consultant and CEO, the Barricade Executive Protection Limited, joins us now from our Abuja studio. Now, Mr. Adetuberu, this is a very important conversation. My heart goes out right now to our brethren in Nigeria's north, where there's always one form of attack or the other in public places, especially in churches. So I'd like you to talk to us about how they can protect themselves. And you know that, danger can be both external and internal. External now, attack coming from bandits or insurgents. Internal, maybe there's a fire. So walk us through how they can protect themselves.
Thank you so much once again. Good morning, everyone. So public spaces are the most important places because these are places where people gather, be it religious centers, be it motor parks or markets. So it's highly important for us. This is a very important topic. And this morning I'll be giving us some tips, some security strategies on what we can do to ensure our public spaces are secured. The first thing I would say is advanced surveillance and monitoring. That's the first security strategy I'm going to be giving us this morning. Advanced security, surveillance, and strategy. And this simply means CCTV deployment. CCTV deployment. The UK, for example, boasts of about 5.2 million surveillance cameras. So Nigeria, the giant of Africa, to ensure that our public spaces are secured, it's highly important for us to ensure we have CCTV cameras to gather intelligence, to gather surveillance, intelligence on everyone that come into any of these public spaces. Now, it's not enough for us to also have the cameras because we've also seen a lot of norm in the country today where people install these cameras but no one to watch. So we must also go a step further by ensuring that we have command and control centers where security operatives, civilians, or or security operatives watch these cameras to watch people's movements, gather intelligence, and gather intelligence and surveillance. The second thing I'm going to be talking about is there's a need for us to strengthen access control. There's a need to strengthen the access control of these public spaces. How do we do that? How do we strengthen access control? We may have to introduce search. We may have to introduce search. We've had a lot of killings in the country due to these certain places where people go to religious centers, mosques, churches, markets, and people lay their lives. And so it's high time for us to start to introduce search. And search could be using the metal detector. Before you enter the public space, you're walking through a metal detector that search through your body, your bag, a bag detector that also search through your bag to be sure that you don't have any criminal or IDs on you. The next thing that it's so important, for us to pay attention to is community policing and intelligence gathering. We are in the 21st century. We cannot continue to work with the traditional way of security. The world has gone past that. So it's important. We need to encourage locals to share information with the security agencies. It's so important. Nigerians, I want to implore us this morning, once you see something, please say something. Pass the information. Pass that suspicious activity you have noticed, that suspicious movement you just noticed. Pass it on to law enforcement agency. It's so important. Not only that, there's a need for the police also to go further by having workshops to encourage people, to also enlighten them on how to identify someone that is about to commit crime. Yes, because if, for example, a civilian that carries a concealed weapon will not work normal. There's a way that person will be so conscious of himself. So there's a need for the police to also organize workshops, organize forums to encourage the public, to enlighten the public on how to identify, someone in on a suspicious movement. So it's so important we also do that. Also, it's important for us to have what I call emergency preparedness and rapid response. Emergency preparedness and rapid response. If you recall previous episodes we have done before, I've spoken about panic button, where panic buttons are in place. Not only that, security are also deployed, and also for security to be deployed, they don't necessarily have to be on uniform. We can have them as covert operation, security officers at these public spaces. It's also very, very important. Okay, I've spoken about public awareness and mass communication. I think with these few nuggets, these few strategies of mine, our public spaces, the churches, the mosque, the markets, and the motor parks will be safe for all Nigerians.
So there's access control, there's intelligence gathering, there's covert operations by security operatives, there's also investment in CCTV camera for public places. Yes. I hope you also took notes. Yes. But Mr. Adetubero, talk to us now very quickly about safety measures in markets. And this may be a good time to remind those who do not have what do they call it now? Fire extinguishers, to have one inside their shops. So talk to us about safety in markets. So
safety procedures in markets, very, very important. It's important for the market administrative team, to ensure, to make a policy that every store, every shop, every mall, you have your own safety equipment. Yes, we should have the public one, which is for the market generally. However, every shop owner should also have theirs. And that's part of what I talked about earlier by also doing workshop on how to curb emergency should it arise. So it's so important. It goes back to training. It goes back to workshop, and it goes back to preparedness, because training, there's something training does. Training boosts confidence. It boosts confidence so that when it eventually happens, you just know what to do in a nick of time.
And just before I let you go, I'd like you to speak to self-defense, which is a form of safety, but how this can sometimes turn awry is a challenge. I quickly remember the New Year's Eve story of the Reverend Father who shot a boy, perhaps, out of worry that the boy was, a man of the underworld that wanted to attack members of the church, or even the Reverend Fathers themselves who have been an object of attack. So how far is so far in terms of carrying a weapon of self-defense for those who are in worship centers?
Well, when it comes to search, before such can be used, before a weapon can be used, it's expected that intelligence has been gathered. We should not be in a hurry, to make use of our self-defense equipment, right? It's so important. That's why the churches, the mosque, I'm sure we all have security departments, right? And that's why if a worshiper notice something, the best thing immediately to do is to notify the protocol or the security in that church or the mosque. And what do they do next? The next thing they start to do is to begin to watch. In situational awareness, we've said it is paying attention to behaviors. So before any one of us, just get to activate our self-defense tools, it's important that first and foremost, it has to be proven beyond every reasonable doubt that that person is a suspect, is a threat. So if that has not been proven yet, honestly, it's advisable that every Nigerian, hold on first to their to the self-defense tools that they have with them. It has to have been proven that you are under threat. And how do you know that you're under threat? There must have been intelligence. There must have been observation. There must have been, keeping memory system. There must have been memory retention. There must have been, you have seen that this person is a crime that is about to happen. Then you can make do of your self-defense mechanism.
Mr. Adetubero, it's a very tricky conversation because the danger that some Nigerians, face in different parts of the country is very real. I mean, the other day we were talking about even how IDPs are not safe in internally displaced camps that they find themselves in. So, one might ask, even at that, is it legal? Is it legitimate under the law to carry a weapon of self-defense?
It is legitimate under the Nigerian law. It's legitimate under
even
the
a rifle
law for every Nigerian to carry minimum. For example, now, of course, if you are going to be carrying an arm, for example, you must have a permit to do that. You must have gone through the rudiments of training, the rudiment of why you need it, and the police would have given you the permit to be able to carry that. So, but if you haven't done that and you are carrying it, that's illegal. That's illegal. But when you carry the likes of the panic buttons, the likes of pepper spray, the likes of tasers, under the law, every Nigerian is covered. Under the law, every Nigerian is covered to carry these particular types of
categories of firearms,
self-defense equipment I just mentioned. But
all right.
Not weapon that requires a concealed weapon like a pistol, a pump action. You need to go for permits.
A permit. All right, Mr. Adetubero, Mr. Demola Adetubero, security consultant and CEO, the Barricade Executive Protection Limited. Thank you so much, and for always on the program. I can't forget pepper spray. And that sums it up on this side of on this segment. We'll be back with more on the conversation. So stay with us. We'll be right back.